Gold alone does not make a man powerful. Many die with wealth in their coffers yet remain slaves in spirit. The true question is this: will you command your money, or will money command you? In this video, I shall reveal the cold truth that most never dare to face, the one thing that determines whether fortune becomes your servant or your master. Men worship money as if it were a god, yet few understand that wealth by itself is impotent. A chest of coins cannot protect you from betrayal. A bank account cannot silence your enemies. Money is but a tool, and tools are worthless without the hand that wields them. What separates rulers from the ruled is not possession, but strategy. In this discourse, we shall strip away illusions, uncovering how the wise bend wealth to their will, while the foolish are bent by it. Consider this a mirror to your own life. Are you the master of fortune, or merely its victim? We begin with a truth most men refuse to accept: money, standing alone, is fragile. You may imagine that wealth places you above others, that with gold in your hands you command respect. But tell me, what becomes of the rich merchant who cannot defend himself? He becomes prey. A lamb dressed in silk is still a lamb, and wolves do not fear silk. History is filled with men who mistook wealth for strength. Consider Marcus Crassus, once the richest man in Rome. His fortune was legendary. He purchased influence, land, armies of slaves. Yet, when he sought glory in war, he revealed the weakness of his command. Against the Parthians, his gold could not save him. His army was destroyed, and his enemies mocked him by pouring molten gold down his throat. A fitting end for a man who believed wealth alone made him invincible. The lesson is sharp: money without power is an invitation to ruin. And you? Do you not see this in your own world? The lottery winner who is celebrated for a moment, then envied, manipulated, robbed, or destroyed. The businessman with riches but no allies, who becomes the victim of lawsuits, betrayals, or political attacks. Wealth attracts attention, but without the strength to command and defend it, that attention turns fatal. Think of wealth as a torch in the dark. It lights your way, yes, but it also exposes you to every predator lurking in the night. If you lack the will to protect that light, it will be taken from you, and you will be left in darkness. Why is this so? Because money is not power. Money is opportunity. It is potential energy, not force. Power arises not from possession, but from control. A poor ruler with cunning, allies, and fear can outmatch a wealthy fool who possesses nothing but coins. Psychology confirms this. Human beings are not impressed by wealth itself, they are impressed by the aura that surrounds it. The dominance, the command, the ability to make others bend. If wealth stands naked, without the armor of authority, it becomes a target for exploitation. Look at the timid rich, who live in constant fear of thieves, taxes, scandals, and rivals. Their riches enslave them, for they cannot move without anxiety. They guard what they cannot truly use. But in the hands of the powerful, wealth changes shape. It becomes a sword, not bait. Consider the Medici family of Florence. Their gold alone did not secure their rule. Many bankers had gold, but the Medici understood that wealth must be woven into influence. They bought loyalty, funded art to control culture, financed alliances, and placed their own members in the church. Their money served power, and thus their family endured when countless others vanished. Do you see the difference? The weak man chases money as if it were the end. The strong man shapes it into a weapon. So ask yourself, if tomorrow you gained great wealth, what then? Would you guard it with trembling hands, praying no one takes it? Would you spend it on pleasure, feeding your hunger but starving your future? Or would you turn it into a fortress, securing allies, silencing rivals, building influence that cannot be easily destroyed? The crowd will tell you money is the destination. But I tell you money is merely the key to the gate. And if you hold the key without the courage to open the door, another will take it from you and walk through in your place. Reflect on how many men you know who labor for years, accumulate some fortune, and then live in fear of losing it. They become their own jailers, shackled by anxiety, their gold weighing heavier than iron chains. This is not freedom. This is weakness disguised as success. But the strategist, the one who thinks as rulers think, uses money differently. He invests not in fleeting comfort, but in control. He buys not possessions, but leverage. He understands that a coin spent to bind another man's loyalty is worth infinitely more than a coin spent on luxury. Therefore, I warn you, if you do not learn to convert money into power, you will one day be destroyed by those who do. And this is only the beginning. For even if you master the art of wielding wealth as a weapon, there lies a deeper illusion waiting to ensnare you. An illusion far more seductive, far more dangerous. But that, my friend, is the subject of the next truth. Men chase money because they believe it will set them free. They imagine a life unchained, where no master commands them, no obligation binds them, and no fear stalks their days. They dream of waking when they please, traveling where they wish, and buying whatever their heart desires. This fantasy drives them like cattle to labor, to sacrifice, to bleed for coins they think will unlock liberty. But let me ask you, is the rich man truly free? Or has he merely exchanged one prison for another? History offers us cruel lessons. Consider the emperors of Rome. They sat atop wealth beyond measure. They could summon armies with a gesture, command feasts that lasted for days, drape themselves in gold and silk. Yet were they free? Hardly. Each emperor lived under constant threat of betrayal, assassination and revolt. Their riches and power did not liberate them. It trapped them within a cage of paranoia. One wrong move, one failed calculation, and the same men who bowed yesterday thrust daggers tomorrow. Do you not see the same pattern today? The billionaire who cannot walk the streets without security. The celebrity who cannot eat in peace without cameras in his face. The business magnate who spends more time guarding his empire than enjoying it. Wealth bought them options, yes, but it also bound them to fear. Fear of loss, fear of envy, fear of exposure, and fear is the most subtle chain of all. Psychology reveals why. The human mind adapts quickly to abundance. What once felt liberating soon feels ordinary. The thrill of purchase fades, but the anxiety of keeping, maintaining, and protecting grows. The rich man tells himself he is free, but in truth, he becomes a slave to his possessions. His every thought revolves around preservation. How to shield his fortune from thieves, governments, rivals, or even family. Have you ever noticed how those with little often sleep more soundly than those with much? Poverty chains the body, but wealth chains the mind. Which prison is worse? Here lies the illusion. Money whispers of freedom, but offers instead a deeper bondage. Like wine, it intoxicates. At first, it gives warmth and courage. But drink too much, and it consumes you. The man who worships money for freedom discovers that every coin becomes a weight, and every weight a leash. Look at the example of Howard Hughes, once the richest man in America. His fortune built empires of aviation and cinema, yet in his later years, his wealth became his torment. He locked himself in dark rooms, afraid of germs, suspicious of every servant, enslaved by compulsions. Was he free? No. He was imprisoned by the very riches that once promised liberty. Now turn the question inward. Do you believe that more money will liberate you? Or will it only magnify the chains already on your mind? If you are enslaved by fear now, wealth will not free you. It will deepen your servitude. If you are ruled by desire now, riches will only feed the fire until it consumes you whole. True freedom does not come from gold. It comes from control over yourself, over others, over circumstance. Wealth can serve that control, but never replace it. Without discipline, money is a trap. With discipline, money is a tool. But freedom is something different entirely. Consider the Stoics of antiquity. Men like Epictetus, who was born a slave yet declared himself free because no master could command his mind. Contrast this with rulers who owned kingdoms but were prisoners of their appetites, their fears, their vices. Tell me, who was truly free? The world lies to you. It tells you that freedom is bought with currency, that liberty has a price tag, that if you climb high enough, earn enough, spend enough, you will finally breathe as a free man. But this is the illusion the powerful spread to keep you compliant. They want you chasing shadows, mistaking wealth for liberty, while they tighten the real chains unnoticed. So I ask again, when you dream of freedom, are you not dreaming of another form of slavery, slavery to luxury, slavery to comfort, slavery to fear? Do not be deceived. Money can expand your choices. Yes, it can build walls, silence enemies, even buy obedience. But freedom, that is never for sale. And yet there is a way to use this illusion, not as a prison, but as a weapon. To turn the false promise of freedom into leverage over others. To make them chase the mirage while you command the oasis. Money in your pocket is silent. It whispers nothing, commands no one, changes nothing, until you use it. Its true value does not lie in what it buys for you, but in what it makes others do. Influence is the highest return on gold, and those who fail to understand this are destined to remain rich in wealth, yet poor in power. Ask yourself, what is more valuable? A palace filled with treasures, or a single loyal hand that will strike your enemy when commanded? History offers clear examples. Julius Caesar borrowed enormous sums, far beyond what he could ever repay, to fund his rise. He used that money not to indulge himself, but to purchase loyalty, soldiers, allies, and the favor of the people. His enemies mocked him for his debts, calling him reckless. Yet his debt was a weapon. While they hoarded coins, Caesar bought men's devotion. And when the time came, those men raised him above them all. This is the currency of influence. Money buys bread, but true power buys obedience. Consider how politicians operate in your world today. Do they not spend vast fortunes on campaigns? Not because they love billboards and advertisements, but because they are buying something invisible: perception. Perception becomes belief, and belief becomes loyalty. And loyalty, even when purchased, is indistinguishable from love in the minds of the masses. The psychology is simple. Human beings crave security, recognition, and survival. If your wealth provides these, they will bend to you. A bribe given at the right moment is not wasteful spending. It is the forging of a chain. And chains, once fastened, are difficult to break. Think about the corporations that dominate modern life. They buy silence through legal settlements. They buy loyalty through salaries and benefits. They buy obedience through fear of losing privilege. The workers call themselves free, but in truth, they are purchased day after day, hour by hour. The company understands that money is not the end, but the means. And what of you? Do you use your wealth, however small, to command? Or do you waste it chasing fleeting pleasures that vanish with the morning? There is an old saying, give a man a coin, and he will eat for a day. Pay a man's pride, and he will serve you for life. Influence is bought not only with silver, but with gestures, recognition, even small acts of generosity placed with precision. A gift to the right person, at the right time, can earn a debt that no vault of gold could ever repay. Yet here lies the subtlety: generosity without calculation is weakness. The powerful do not give to feed virtue, they give to secure leverage. Alexander the Great rewarded his men lavishly, not out of kindness, but to bind them in loyalty, so they would march across the world for him. His wealth was not scattered at random, it was invested in obedience. Do you see the difference? The fool gives to be loved, the strategist gives to be obeyed. Psychology confirms this ruthless truth. Human beings are not naturally loyal. They are loyal to what sustains them, what feeds their ambitions, what soothes their fears. Remove these and loyalty dissolves like mist. But maintain them, and men will follow you into fire. Money spent with cunning ensures their dependence, and dependence is the deepest root of influence. But beware, if others sense that your wealth is meant to purchase their devotion, they may despise you. That is why the art lies in disguise. Bribe without calling it a bribe. Reward without showing the calculation. Cloak your manipulation in the veil of generosity, and men will praise your kindness while they march under your command. Do you not see this everywhere? From the employer who hosts a company dinner, disguising control as appreciation, to the leader who funds public works, disguising obedience as benevolence. The masses cheer, unaware that their loyalty has been purchased cheaply. So I ask you, are you learning to wield your resources as a weapon of influence? Or are you content to spend them as mere consumer? Because the man who only buys for himself remains alone, but the man who buys others becomes a ruler. Remember this: money is temporary, but influence can outlive you. The Medici proved this when they turned banking fortunes into dynasties. Their gold built alliances that carried their name into immortality. Their palaces may crumble, but their influence shaped the Renaissance itself, and this is the lesson you must absorb. The true measure of wealth is not what you own, but how many obey when you command. Yet influence carries with it a shadow, a danger few anticipate. For the moment you can command men, you must also master whether they love you or fear you. And only one of those emotions guarantees lasting control. When you possess wealth, the world demands a choice of you. Will you be loved for your generosity, or feared for the power your gold commands? Men will tell you to choose love. They will whisper that generosity makes you noble, that kindness earns you lasting loyalty, that the grateful never betray their benefactor. But history, psychology, and the cold reality of human nature reveal the opposite. The more you give, the weaker you appear. And the weaker you appear, the more they will take until nothing remains. Ask yourself, do you respect the rich man who hands out his fortune freely, or do you secretly despise him? Do you not see him as foolish, soft, ripe for exploitation? Look at Rome once again. The Gracchi brothers sought to buy the love of the people with land reforms and handouts. They believed generosity would protect them. Instead, they were torn apart by the very crowd they tried to please. Their mistake was simple: they confused gratitude with loyalty. Gratitude fades quickly, fear endures. Now compare them to the emperors who ruled with iron discipline. Augustus rewarded when it served him, but he punished with swiftness when it was needed. His mixture of measured generosity and calculated fear allowed him to transform a crumbling republic into an empire that lasted centuries. He was not loved as a benefactor. He was respected as a master. The psychology behind this is brutal but undeniable. Love is voluntary. It depends on emotion, which changes with circumstance. Today, they may love you for your generosity. Tomorrow, they may resent you for not giving more. Love breeds entitlement, and entitlement breeds betrayal when expectations are not met. Fear, however, is not voluntary. Fear is imposed. It binds men against their will. A man may stop loving you at any moment, but he will not stop fearing you unless you give him reason to. Fear anchors loyalty when love dissolves. And so, when wealth is used, it must be used with calculation. If you give, give not to be loved, but to make others dependent on you. Dependency is a form of fear, for the man who needs you knows he cannot survive without you. He may smile and call it love, but in truth he is chained. Consider the lords of medieval Europe. They granted land to their vassals, not out of kindness, but to ensure those vassals could not live without them. The gift was not love, it was a trap. The vassals owed military service, loyalty, and taxes. They loved their lord when he was generous, but they feared losing his protection more. The system endured because fear outweighed love. In your world, you can see this pattern in corporations. Employers hand out salaries, bonuses, perks. Do you believe this is kindness? No. It is a leash. Employees smile at their boss, pretending love for the company. But beneath it lies fear, the fear of losing livelihood, status, or identity. The paycheck is not an act of affection. It is a calculated tool of control. And you? How do you use what you have? Do you give freely to win affection, or do you invest strategically to build dependence? Every coin you spend signals to others whether you seek their love or their fear. Here lies the uncomfortable truth: men respect the hand that withholds more than the hand that gives endlessly. Scarcity creates value. A rare favor breeds devotion. Endless favors breed contempt. Reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever given too much, only to find the recipient demanding more, ungrateful for what they already received? This is human nature. Love created by generosity is shallow. Fear created by control is deep. This is why rulers must always err on the side of fear. To be loved is pleasant. To be feared is secure. If you can be both, you may reach greatness. But when forced to choose, fear must prevail. Even religion understands this. How many worship their gods out of pure love? Most obey because they fear punishment, damnation, or divine wrath. Fear binds the masses more effectively than love ever could. So I ask you, when you command wealth, will you seek to be adored, or will you ensure you are respected? Do you want followers who sing your praises while plotting your downfall, or followers who tremble at the thought of crossing you? Generosity may win applause, but applause does not protect a throne. Fear, even cloaked beneath the illusion of kindness, ensures survival. And yet, there is a trap hidden even in fear itself. For if fear becomes too great, it breeds rebellion. The wise ruler knows not only how to create fear, but how to balance it. How to temper it with just enough reward to keep men obedient, but never bold. Gold has no voice, yet it speaks louder than any king. It whispers promises of freedom, of pleasure, of recognition. It seduces you with the illusion that the next coin, the next acquisition, the next triumph will finally be enough. But it is never enough. The man who serves desire finds that every victory opens the door to new hunger. You may think wealth liberates you. In truth, unchecked desire enslaves you far more tightly than poverty ever could. Look to history. Consider King Midas of Phrygia, who begged the gods that all he touched turn to gold. His wish was granted, and what followed? He found himself starving, unable to eat or drink, for every morsel became metal in his hand. His own daughter embraced, turned lifeless and cold. Midas had riches beyond imagination, but he was destroyed by the very desire he thought would elevate him. This myth is not fantasy. It is a mirror. How many men today spend their lives turning everything into gold, only to discover they have nothing worth holding? Desire is cunning. It feeds on itself. The more you possess, the more you fear losing, the more you crave to gain. It is a wheel that never stops turning, a hunger that grows the more it is fed. And here lies the danger. The man trapped by endless desire is easily controlled. Offer him more, and he will kneel. Threaten to take away, and he will obey. His greed is a leash, invisible but unbreakable. Consider the bankers of Renaissance Florence. Many grew rich beyond measure, yet they were desperate for more. More land, more influence, more clients. This desperation made them pawns of those who understood restraint. Families like the Medici could manipulate them with promises of greater fortune, steering their greed into alliances that served Florence, but not the bankers themselves. In chasing endless wealth, they surrendered their autonomy. Do you see this same pattern in your world? Corporations lure men with salaries and promotions, always dangling the next reward, never allowing them to feel complete. The worker sacrifices his life chasing advancement, but the advancement always moves just beyond his grasp. His masters know the secret. Endless desire keeps him chained more tightly than iron shackles ever could. And what of you? Are you chasing a finish line that does not exist? Do you tell yourself, if I only had more, then I would rest? That lie is the oldest trick of power, because the moment you rest, you are no longer controllable. And so, rulers ensure you never stop wanting. Psychology explains it well. The brain adapts quickly to achievement. What once thrilled you becomes normal, and you crave the next rush. The poor man believes the rich are satisfied. Yet the rich man, once satisfied, looks upward at those with more, and burns with envy. Desire is not extinguished by possession. It is inflamed by it. This is why restraint is not weakness, but mastery. The man who knows when to stop, who uses money as a servant instead of serving it, gains true control. He is not pulled by greed like a puppet, but directs wealth toward his chosen ends. Consider Alexander the Great. His empire stretched from Greece to India, yet his hunger to conquer more drove his men to rebellion. They had marched too far, fought too long, and desired rest. Alexander's ambition, unchecked, became his undoing. His empire collapsed soon after his death. What destroyed him was not lack of power, but lack of restraint. The same is true for every man who believes he must always want more. So reflect, are you master of your wealth or slave to your hunger? Do you command your desires or do they command you? This is why rulers have always exploited greed. They grant their subjects glimpses of reward but never full satisfaction. They feed the hunger just enough to keep men obedient. Bread, games, spectacles. These are not gifts, they are tools. Keep the masses desiring, and they will never rise against you. But here is the secret the wise must learn. Endless desire blinds you to strategy. You cannot see the battlefield if your eyes are fixed only on treasure, and he who cannot see the battlefield is doomed to lose it. So I ask you now, when fortune tempts you with more, will you grasp blindly like the fool, or will you stop when the prize is enough to serve your true ends? Because those who fail to master their desire will be mastered by it, and those who are mastered by desire will never wield power. They will forever chase it. Yet even if you learn to control your hunger, another question remains. Once you have the wealth you need, how do you wield it as a weapon? How do you turn gold into force, into leverage, into dominance? Gold in your hand is not enough. A pile of coins is useless if it sits idle, collecting dust. Wealth, when hoarded, is nothing more than a heavy stone around your neck. But when wielded with precision, it becomes a blade sharper than any sword. The weak man uses money for comfort. The powerful man uses it for conquest. Consider how kingdoms were built. Armies do not march for ideals alone. They march for payment. The great conquerors of history, Caesar, Napoleon, the Ottoman sultans, understood this. Money bought soldiers, supplies, weapons, and with them empires. A ruler with no gold could inspire speeches. A ruler with gold could purchase victory. This truth has not changed. Today, wars are fought not just with armies but with banks, contracts, and financial leverage. Nations cripple one another through debt, sanctions, and trade. These are weapons as deadly as swords, though bloodless in appearance. Ask yourself, are you treating your money as a shield for comfort, or as a weapon to bend the world to your will? Look at the Medici of Florence. They were not knights or kings. They held no vast lands, no armies at first, but they controlled gold. And with that gold, they purchased influence over the papacy, over politics, over culture itself. Their money funded alliances, silenced rivals, and positioned their family in places where armies could never reach. They ruled without crowns, yet their dominion was undeniable. This is the art of transforming gold into power. Psychology reveals why this works. Human beings are motivated by fear and desire. Money manipulates both. Offer wealth, and you ignite desire. Threaten to withdraw it, and you awaken fear. This dual edge makes money a perfect weapon. It seduces and it intimidates at once. Consider modern corporations. They buy loyalty with salaries, and they enforce obedience with the threat of unemployment. Employees do not work merely from passion. They work from fear of losing income. The paycheck is not kindness, it is control. And what of you? Do you use your resources to command obedience, to bend others to your will, or do you spend without purpose, feeding only your appetites? The difference between ruler and subject lies here. The subject consumes wealth. The ruler deploys it. Learn from the mafia families of the 20th century. They understood money was not to be flaunted in luxury, but invested in influence. Bribes to officials, payments to police, gifts to allies. Their gold built networks of loyalty and silence that protected them better than any fortress. The law could not touch them, not because they were loved, but because their wealth was strategically armed. The same principle applies in politics. Campaign funds are not mere expenses. They are weapons. They purchase advertisements, sway public opinion, buy silence, and create obligations. When a donor gives, he does not give freely. He plants a hook. The politician smiles in public, but behind closed doors he is chained. A single coin, spent strategically, can bend the laws of a nation. So I ask you, how do you wield your gold? Do you use it to buy comfort or to buy control? Reflect on your own life. A man spends recklessly to impress others, and when his money is gone, so too is the respect he sought. Another man spends strategically, rewarding loyalty, punishing betrayal, investing in alliances. His wealth multiplies, not because he hoards it, but because he weaponizes it. Understand this: money itself has no morality. It is not good or evil, it is steel. In the hands of a weakling it rusts. In the hands of the cunning it cuts. But remember, Every weapon has its danger. Use money too openly as a weapon, and men will turn against you. They will call you corrupt, greedy, tyrannical. To wield gold effectively, you must cloak your blade, disguise bribes as gifts, payments as investments, control as generosity. Influence thrives when hidden beneath a mask. History rewards those who understood this art. The kings who taxed their people mercilessly fell to rebellion. The rulers who disguised their extractions as duties, offerings, or contributions reigned longer. The people may resist a sword pointed at their chest, but they bow when gold seduces their pride. So, wealth is not your goal. It is your arsenal. And the question is not whether you have enough, but whether you are willing to use it as a weapon. For those who hesitate, their gold will be stolen by those who do not. Yet, even if you learn to wield wealth with precision, there is still a greater challenge. For money may build power, but without legacy, it dies with you. Wealth vanishes. Spend it on pleasures, and it dies with you. Leave it unguarded, and vultures tear it apart the moment you fall. But when wealth is shaped into something greater, into control, institutions, influence, it outlives its master. That is how money achieves immortality. Do you want to be remembered as the man who lived richly, or the one whose wealth still commands long after his death? History answers this question clearly. Think of the Medici of Florence. Their gold bought more than silks and banquets. It built banks, financed popes, sponsored artists. Their wealth shaped the very culture of Europe. Centuries after their deaths, the Medici name still whispers power. Their palaces remain, their art endures. Their influence echoes in history books. They turned money into immortality by making it useful to others, binding entire generations to their legacy. Contrast this with men who squandered wealth on fleeting indulgence. Kings who built towers of excess while their kingdoms starved. Nobles who spent fortunes on feasts while enemies sharpened their blades. Their wealth died with their appetites, and so too did their names. Who remembers them? A footnote, a warning, nothing more. The lesson is sharp wealth without purpose is mortal. Wealth tied to power, legacy, and structure becomes eternal. But how is this achieved? First, by understanding that money must not only serve you, it must serve a system. When you bind your wealth into institutions, you create mechanisms that endure beyond your presence. Foundations, alliances, networks. These are not simply possessions but engines of continuity. Consider the Catholic Church. For centuries, it gathered wealth through tithers, indulgences, and land. But it did not merely hoard gold. It invested in cathedrals, monasteries, armies of priests. Its money built structures that outlived individuals. As a result, its influence endured for millennia. That is immortality through utility. Psychology confirms why this works. Men forget the spender, but they remember the structure that continues to shape their lives. The benefactor fades, but the institution remains. The wise use wealth to engrave themselves into the minds of future generations, not through memory alone, but through systems that still exert control. So I ask you, do you use your wealth to feed your hungers, or to create something that will command long after you are gone? Modern rulers understand this well. Corporations outlive their founders. Nations outlive their kings. The men who established them are dust, but their systems of power still dominate. Consider Rockefeller. His fortune did not vanish with his death. It became foundations, companies, legacies that continue to influence global affairs today. His name, engraved in stone and institutions, remains alive. That is immortality born from utility. But here lies a darker truth. Immortality requires sacrifice. To turn wealth into lasting power, you must deny yourself certain indulgences. The wine, the palace, the fleeting pleasures. They satisfy only your body, but every coin wasted on them is a coin lost to eternity. The wise ruler spends less on comfort and more on permanence. Have you noticed how even tyrants seek legacy? They build monuments, not because stone pleases them, but because they fear being forgotten. Yet only those who tie monuments to power succeed. The pyramids of Egypt were not simply tombs. They were symbols of divine authority, reinforcing obedience for centuries. Even now, they command awe, Their utility was not beauty alone, but control through memory. What monuments do you build? Not of stone, but of influence, of loyalty, of systems that will carry your name beyond the grave. If you die tomorrow, will your wealth dissolve in disputes among heirs? Or will it continue to command, to shape, to bend men to your will? This is the true test of power, to make yourself unavoidable, even in absence. To build so deeply into the fabric of society that your influence cannot be erased. And yet, there is another danger. For legacy can become a prison if not built wisely. Wealth tied to vanity collapses when envy rises. Wealth tied to systems of control endures. The difference lies not in how much you spend, but in how strategically you spend it. So reflect carefully. Every coin you hold is mortal unless transformed. Ask yourself, will it vanish with you, or will it whisper your name centuries from now? For money itself cannot achieve immortality. But money, when shaped into power, control, and legacy, makes you eternal. And yet, even immortality through wealth is not the final truth. For beyond money, beyond power, lies something deeper, something darker, the mastery not of others, but of the human soul itself. Power is rarely taken by force. It is given, willingly, unknowingly, by those too blind to see the hand that guides them. Control does not announce itself. It whispers. It shapes thought before thought becomes action. The greatest victory is not to chain a man's body, but to chain his mind while he believes he is free. Ask yourself, how many times have you obeyed without knowing you were commanded? How often have your choices been planted long before you believed you chose? This is the art of ruling without crowns, of conquering without armies. It is subtle, it is quiet, and it is absolute. Now the question turns to you. Will you remain the one who is controlled, or will you sharpen your mind to become the controller? Comment your reflections below. Subscribe if you wish to master more of these hidden strategies, and share this with those who think they cannot be manipulated. Let them see how wrong they are.